Hello and welcome to Footy Corner and Arsenal Domination. You'll notice that Sparks isn't here tonight. He's not well, so you are stuck with me hosting this one. But I have two awesome guests. SJ, welcome back. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, it's all good. And we have in the middle there someone that a lot of you will recognise. He's a chap that has built a channel up to 29,000 subscribers, something I can only dream of. But first time, I think, on this channel, Josh from True Gooner. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, thanks for the kind words, mate. Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. I'm doing great. Very happy to be here on the Footy Corner, and of course, obviously Sparks can't be here because he's unwell. So wishing him, well soon as well, and hopefully I can come back as well when we can all do a show together. But yeah, really look forward to it, mate. Yeah.
It's an odd one tonight because normally it's the other way around, right? You're normally asking me the questions.
Usually I'm the one asking the question, guys. So it's nice to just sit back and then just be in the hot seat sort of thing for this one, man. But yeah, looking forward to it.
I was on a show with you last night where it was constant interruptions, but I'll be able to hear you tonight. But there we go. What was going to say? Look, plan for this one is to review the Premier League week. We will obviously start with the most important team of all, which of course, Hull City. I mean Arsenal. Arsenal obviously kicking off the season on Friday night. SJ, were you there?
I was, yeah. I was there. Yeah, I was there on Friday.
Super. Do you want to talk us through your thoughts on the game? Obviously, Arsenal, everyone expecting Coventry to sort of fold under us, which they did eventually. Well, not eventually, fairly quickly. Arsenal winning it 3-0, but big pressure on the game. What were your reflections from inside the ground, sort of atmosphere and what have you on the game?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell from the get-go, everyone was getting to the ground early. Usually when you come out of the station an hour before you, it's a pretty clear walk to the ground, but it wasn't so clear on Friday because everyone was getting there early because the excitement was our first home game since being champions. We got a plum draw, one of the three promoted teams at home. And it was just excitement. I mean, in the concourse, it was rocking, different charts going up. And, it was just, I was outside for a bit. I was talking to a few people, just speaking to people, just finding out their thoughts and stuff. But when I got in the ground, we've got a new, sidetrack, new catering team after 20 years.
Was it improvement?
They got rid of a few favourites, from like certain chickens, stuff like that from before. But with burger and chips, reasonably priced for this day and age. So it was good to see. Right, the game itself, other than the first 5 minutes where I think Coventry kept the ball pretty well, I think it was just one way domination, Arsenal domination. Shout out. No pun intended.
Someone said that on a big show the other day. It was like Arsenal domination. I'm here for that.
No, yeah, as I say, it was a comfortable game. We got to see new players, Solis. Obviously, Bruno's injured, so we didn't get to see him, sadly. Ben White making a reappearance at right back. We all thought he was going in the summer, but we retained him, and it looked like it's been a great decision. Had that been the case, had Saliba got injured? Not too sure, but I'm very happy that he stayed because he validated his position, his place in the team with his performance. It was nice to see.
A fit Ben White is very, very good. It's his fitness that sort of raised concern, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. He offers something different. Timber's solid defensively. Ben White, he can defend as well, but I think the way he gets forward, down outside and linking up with Saka, we saw that a few years back. It worked very well. And I think it was the first time since December 24 that Saka, Odegaard and Havertz played together. With Ben White obviously linking up down there, it just formed a good quartet down that side, which Coventry couldn't deal with relentlessly, And on the left-hand side, Solis, I thought it was a great debut. We haven't missed Trossard. We doesn't look like we missed Trossard just yet. He's taken like a duck to water in the Premier League so far. But yeah, I don't keep babbling on about the performance. I think it was a great performance and a nice routine win. What was your thoughts?
I agree with you, SJ. I think it was nice and routine, nice and comfortable. I think getting the early goal really helped settle things down. And Coventry were outclassed. Second half, we took off foot off the gas, but we made the subs, and I think they were mostly pre-planned subs, to be honest, which is good to sort of rest and rotate those minutes around. And these opening games, as we'll see when we come on to some of the others, like Hull and Ipswich getting first day wins, shows it's not as easy as everyone thinks it's going to be. Josh, before I quickly come to you, I'm just going to quickly come to the chat. Sparks, as we mentioned, not well tonight, but is in the chat, listening along, making sure I do my job properly. Hope you're doing well, my friend, and I hope you feel better soon. But he does seem to disagree with you on the new food vendors, beer machines that don't work properly, and zero guidance on how to use them. For us old chaps, we need a bit of help with
I didn't use
IT
those. They look nice. They look aesthetically nice, but I didn't actually use the machines. And I'll take his word for it.
But equally, when you get to our age, we're struggling to use, the basics, right? Yeah. Jordan, hope you're doing well. We will be covering Liverpool later on, so do stick around for that one. You can see what the Arsenal guys think. And Spox says here, we'll be covering United later as well. They, of course, losing to Hull. And Cooper is also in the chat. Welcome along, my friend. And I would agree. Smash a like and subscribe to both channels. But Josh, coming to you, for your thoughts and reflections on. I'll tell you what. Before we sort of do the game, your reflections on Saka and Rice starting, and then sort of into the game, because I think a lot of people thought they wouldn't start any games between now and the international break.
Yeah, surprising. So that was my first reaction when I first saw them both starting in the team. I thought off the bench maybe. Sort of what we did, and I know Bruno had the injury in the Community Shield, but sort of how Rice came off the bench in the second half, wasn't it? Played a 45 minutes. Maybe that was an indication that he would be, getting ready for, Coventry. But yeah, very, very surprising. Because I think when we did the preview together, Dom, we were talking about alternatives to Saka. Maybe I think we both said he probably would have started Noni Madueke. I think that was the thing going into this one. And then, Dan was suggested off the bench maybe. But yeah, to start Saka straight up and Rice as well, as we know, was bold in my opinion, because they've just had that World Cup. We've always had that question marks around them with the fitness, especially coming into this season. We had all the reports coming out before. Are they going to be 100% fit going into this season? But both of them look really, really sharp. Saka looked really, and since I've seen him play, he looks, sort of back. I know it's early days, but he looks back to that Saka that
he does. He's got that acceleration back, hasn't he? And he was saying as well pre-season he took a week off and then he got straight back on it again. And there are people saying that actually with an Achilles injury like that, you can't let it rest too much, because actually it makes it worse. So maybe that was a reflection why he started. And as you say, I think Rice starting because Bruno was out.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, you had the other option you could have gone with maybe Zubimendi, but even with him, didn't really have too much of a pre-season, if I can remember. I can't remember him.
He didn't. He was back late as well, wasn't he? Because he made the final.
Again, yeah, with the whole World Cup, playing that effect of these players coming back late. So I can kind of understand in the end playing Rice. And as I said, both of them. I mean, if you look at
more similar to MLS in approach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the way how Rice played, I mean, I looked at that. What I noticed most is that link up they had with Odegaard throughout the whole game. For I think 2 of our goals. I'm really impressed. The way how he won the ball back, I think, for the second goal in the middle, and then Odegaard found a bit of space in front, little 1-2, and then it was Zolis on the win. I thought that was brilliant. I mean, Rice was everywhere, absolute machine, absolute engine, as we know.
Always is.
Always is, yeah. But I mean, the game overall, I mean, I think SJ summed it up. Like, I think it was a perfect way to start the season. Nothing real what we can really complain about. I agree. I think the reason for the slight drop off in the second half was the subs that we made is always going to be a bit of a drop off, but the game was already done. The game was done and we called it off. It's not like in previous games last season, especially up against these sides, where we'd go a goal up and then it would be, sometimes we'd be complaining not going for the kill enough. Sometimes we'd complain for not, going holding on to the leads. So we were ruthless, I thought. And the guy who stood out, it says it in the little caption here, right? Zolis, the real deal. And so far, he is looking the real deal. I've been so impressed with him in pre-season, in Community Shield, and the game, obviously, against Coventry. He was, for me, man of the match. I was just so impressed. The way how his intelligence, especially adapting. This is the Premier League now. This ain't the Belgium League, right? Of course, it's going to be a big adaptation. For his age as well, I thought his intelligence, the way how he reads the game and the way how he just picks up these little pockets and comes out of nowhere and he's able to create this space. That impressed me the most, and the thing, he don't overcomplicate it in the final third. He keeps it simple. He does the basics really well. Obviously he has to do that thing working up and down as well, but even the little things for that first goal, that pressure that he put on, I can't pronounce that right back's name, the Dutch guy, Van something, right?
I'm not going to even try
Don't
either.
even bother. Don't even bother. But even that led to, I think, Calla winning the ball back in the end, and then obviously that's where our first goal came from. It's those little things. He just looks hungry, man. And this was when he first came in. Of course, we weren't really calling this guy being his main left winger option. It was more of a Trossard replacement, right? And we get hopefully another additional left winger on there, because I think there's a lot of pressures put on him to come in straight away to fulfill that role of being a main left winger. But he certainly has got the potential, and he's certainly impressed. And I know it's so early days, but yeah, I just want to shout out him because I think he looked exceptional. And then Lewis Skelly in the midfield once again, I thought was incredible. As we know, since he changed that position, I think the West Ham game or in that spell, since Arteta finally put him in there, we're seeing a completely different version, Lewis Skelly. But yeah, honestly, I think
his natural position, isn't he? Many ways when he was playing left back, he kind of moved into that midfield when we sort of had the ball. But he did come through in the youth academy as that youth player. Sparks helping us out with definitely not the right back's name. But SJ, I mean, what were your thoughts on Zolis? Obviously, he is in the caption there, and who else impressed you? Josh obviously shouting out Miles Lewis Skelly, but keen on your thoughts on both Zolis, who I think he wasn't my man of the match, but he could well have been. And I think Josh is right. He does the simple things well. He gets his head up and has started life really well. Long way to go. I think there'll be ups and downs in the season, as you'd expect. But he looks a real find, a real bargain, sort of similar to sort of the Mosquera, Nkapie find last year. Real good value. But thoughts on Zolis and who else impressed you in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Josh said. He does simple things right. He's a no frills kind of player. You're not going to see a step over or Ronaldo step overs from him. He just direct, drop of a shoulder, pushes it, and will try and get a shot off if he gets a yard. What I was really impressed with was the physicality. Often when you come from these different leagues, you come to the Premier League and you get taken away by the physicality just from day one. And I think he went into challenges with no fear. He got caught a couple of times. He might have stayed down for a second, but he got straight back up. And he never shirked him. He kept going over and over again into challenges. I mean, he's built. He looks very built, for a winger. He's got low centre of gravity. He looks like I say he looked like Messi, but he's not Messi. But the way he's got low centre of gravity and the way he moves.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The sort of the way his body moves and how he is. It's funny actually. You say about his physicality, because I was on holiday in Greece a couple of weeks ago, and one of the waiters out there was raving about him. He was like, he is much stronger, much fitter, and much more able to get up and down than you'd expect. And he was adamant he was going to take the league by storm. Not by storm. He wasn't sort of saying he's going to be the best player in the league, but people's expectations of him are much lower than his levels. And so far, he has actually been spot on. It's interesting that you noticed that in the game live as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's credit to the scouting department. I mean, obviously, when he came in, the fee, like I said it before, players are usually judging on their transfer fee, how good they are. 100 million, must be a great player. He came at 40 million? We thought he was going to be another squad player, but he looks like he's to take that left wing for himself, and we could possibly don't have to go into the market no more in this window, which could be good. And we can say I think we said it on the last show. No need to panic buy to keep our powder dry and hopefully revisit in January to left wing. Who else impressed me? I was actually impressed with Martin Odegaard. He started the season well. I think he started well he played well in the Community Shield, and again he was just there was a chance in the first half where he had the ball on the break, and the old Martin Odegaard of the last 2 seasons, he would cut back and then assess what's in front of him and play from there. But instead, he kept driving forward.
Bit of safety first.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But this time, he just kept driving forward and made a forward pass. And even for I think Josh mentioned it, the second goal where he played a 1-2 of Declan Rice. Declan Rice drove and just Odegaard, I need a pass through 2 players, and Declan Rice continued, and the rest is history. he got his goal. It's a bit of luck, but like I said, we said last week, he's getting in the box more often this season. It looks like, maybe by instruction or just because the handbrake's off and he wants to, get back to 22, 23 Odegaard and contribute with goals and assists. So I think the future's bright for him this season. I'm happy he's there to, lead the team. Obviously, he knows he's got pressure behind him. Eze, if he's not up to snuff. Marino can play there. I think he come on. I like Marino, by the way. As some arguments of people in the crowd, I love Marino. I think he's such an intelligent player.
Yeah,
I think he's one of our most intelligent players. His touch is just so silky. But yeah, I digress on that one.
His versatility as well.
Yeah. I just like. Yeah. Sorry,
AJ. No, I was going to say on Odegaard, I think it's really, really interesting on him because he was my player of the match and it was very close. Lewis Skelly, I thought, played well, as Josh also mentioned. And I thought, actually, I know it sounds a daft thing to say, but actually Arsenal's ability to win the ball back quickly and with purpose in both of these two games has actually moved us up the field much quicker. And we had a real control whilst having some attacking flair. And I think a lot of that actually does come from both Havertz's movement, which goes under the radar, but also Odegaard's confidence is back and he's got a little bit of rhythm back and he's enjoying his football again. And I think that's been missing for the last two seasons. So I think it's great to see it back. But one player that, obviously Odegaard has been much maligned in the last two seasons, but another player that is much maligned is Noni Madueke, who obviously started the Community Shield but didn't start this one. And the Sparks is here. He's been ruined, but Sparks thought he did well. I mean, did you have any reflections on him? Obviously, he came on as a sub, so didn't have as long to impress. But thoughts on Noni either in his first two games and thoughts on him this season, Josh?
The game against Coventry. I mean, what did he get? Was it 20 minutes or something like this?
Yeah, he came on sort of midway through the second half. Yeah,
I don't think he did any. I don't think he did anything too drastic, like in terms of blew us away. But I don't think he was bad as well. I just thought, he tried again against tired legs with Coventry as well. 3-0 up.
Josh, do you know what it is, Josh? When he came on, do you know that cross he did? We overhit that cross.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's long standing in people's memory. Do you know? Because up until then, we hadn't really made any errors in terms of passing, overhit crossing. But he come on and it just seemed out of place, that pass, that cross. I understand what you're trying. I see what you're trying to do, but it just didn't hit his target or no one made the run. And it just got, everyone's like, oh.
That's why.
I do think that's the reason why. But
it's what we were talking about last week, wasn't it, SJ? Where everyone remembers the one, not necessarily one time he mishits it, but everyone remembers the bad cross, and no one remembers the sort of times he's put the ball in the right areas and no one's got on the end of it or anything like that. Because I think again, so obviously he's got parts of his game to improve. We all know his decision making the final third can lack consistency, but as again we were saying last week, he does. That's not uncommon for Premier League winners. And I think actually his experience on that right wing to allow Dalman and Nwaneri is going to be crucial this season. But he's also going to have to perform because he has got those two breathing down his neck. But, he can be the man and it is there. But I do think the narrative comes back to that a lot of people just didn't want him. We had it with Mikel Moreno. We had it with Kai Havertz. And I think he's sort of the next one off that conveyor belt where people will just focus on the negatives because they want to be right in that initial opinion. And look, he's not going to set the world alight, but he came in to be a squad player, and I think kind of that's how we got to judge him. But I do you think that's fair, or
Yeah. I think that the thing with Madueke is, I think he gets labelled because of being ex-Chelsea as well, right? I remember the thing where we first signed him in that window. Signing from Chelsea, I think he's one of our earlier signings before we signed like Eze as well and Gyökeres, right?
Yeah, he was very early July, wasn't he?
Very early, and people was like, "What are we doing going for Chelsea? Another Chelsea player, fifth, and the price tag added onto it." But I mean, I remember you telling me this, Don, the winner market last season, and as we've seen the transfer market overall, you had a Lialangas go for over that amount of money. You had the Kudus is going to Tottenham for that amount of money. Maybe a few others.
Elanga, Garnacho.
Garnacho was the other one,
Gittins.
Yeah, Gittins.
Anyone know who he is? I can't think where he went now. I've not seen him. Get the milk cartons out to see where he is.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like you had a lot of winners who go for big money like that. But he's a player like last season, I remember the Anfield game, I think one of his first games, where in the 45 minutes or however long he played, for me, he looked one of our best players. And I was like, there's little things that I see him in, which I think, hold on a minute, you can actually bring something to this team. And it's like he can, it's everything, as you said, up until the final third, which is why it makes it so frustrating when I'm watching him. He does everything right until the final third. And then it's a decision making, and then it's the end products. You know, as you said, it's like most of this. If they fix their end products, and if he was to fix his end products, then would be sitting there thinking he'd be content, you know, proper competition with Bukayo Saka. So I look at it thinking, just because of the way how we signed him, how he's been labeled in this way, I think that doesn't help when when we see him, you know, have a poor performance, or just it adds to it, I think.
Yeah, it's just this point here from Sparks is, you know, Zorlis did it twice and no one said anything because right now he's flavour of the month. You know, and, you know, deservedly so, he's playing very well. And the thing here about this cross that SJ was talking about, there's no one on the end of it because no one's moved into the middle there to sort of be in that position. And, you know, it is probably where Havertz and Gyökeres are a different profile, that maybe Gyökeres makes more of that direct run because he's that little bit closer. And he has improved that running, albeit it has looked a bit predictable pre-season. But there we go. That was the Friday night game. Unless you guys have got any more reflections on that one, I've got a couple of questions to ask you before we go into a couple of other games. Anything else you just want to mention before we move on? SJ does, but he's on mute.
Schoolboy. Yeah, no, I just wanted to mention just on Mosquera and Gabriel, because Coventry were a big physical team. They're a big team. I mean, their right back Van the Dutchman. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Van the Dutchman. He had a pretty big long throw, and it just in that first half. Ellis Sims, I thought he done very well up front, just to give our centre backs a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? And they're very physical. And even when Wanley came on, he was on Mosquera, and they had a few duels. And you know, Mosquera is small and slight, but I think he gave it good as he got, held his own, and there were times where he even got in front of Wanley and intercepted the ball. But I just thought, yeah, just going forward, it looks like the boys are up for a physical fight.
And it's a really, really interesting point, actually, because, you know, I was sort of mentioning the defence earlier, and Coventry, I don't think, touched the ball in any meaningful way until the 70-odd minute in the Arsenal box. I know they had the sort of, I'm going to say, shot at Raya's goal. He sort of, I'm not convinced he was trying to shoot. He sort of did that sort of not bicycle kick, but overhead kick without sort of leaving the floor, and it went over the bar. But I think he was actually trying to hook it between Raya and the defenders, and he overcooked it. And Raya, I think, had it comfortably, but they didn't touch it. And, you know, Christian Mosquera is coming into this under pressure. William Saliba out for a while. Had a indifferent pre-season, but you kind of expect that. He's a young player and he's sort of coming in with those expectations. And now he's got Ezra Konsa coming in, breathing down his neck. All of these things are quite a lot of pressure on him, and coming into the side that's champions now to start in potentially for a couple of weeks. And he puts in that kind of performance. And for me, he keeps his place against Villa. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that also not playing Konsa there probably quietens down to that Villa crowd a little bit, which might be helpful. But do you think those two play again?
Yeah,
I think you got to, like, I wouldn't change it. I think Konsa, I'm very happy with the signing, but I think he's got to work his way into this team personally. Because Mosquera, I'm a big fan of this guy, man. You know, even in the Champions League final, I thought at right back he had a good game. People, again, I know the whole highlight would be the penalty, which ultimately led to us going to penalties and losing. But apart from that, you're up against the best left winger in the world last season in Kvaratskhelia. And I've not seen too many people keep him at bay.
That quiet.
Yeah, that quiet, right? So I've been really impressed with him, man.
So you don't want to hold him back then, no?
Man, Rob Holding, you know. Yeah, with Rob Holding, oh my days. I remember that when Saliba was injured, when we went to Etihad and 4-1 Man City, I think, oh my days.
That's a bold shout, this from John Terry. But I think that was probably meant in terms of praise of Mosquera, to be fair. But you know,
can I quickly ask this? I don't know if it's one of your questions you're going to ask, Dom, but
I haven't planned any questions. They're just going to come up as I think of them.
There we go. He does it from his head. There we go. But yeah, I was gonna just seeing these. I know it's too early days, but seeing the Community Shield win, seeing this game against Coventry, bear in mind the way how they play. Like, big question about low blocks last season and how we struggled against these types of teams, right? But I'm seeing these players like Odegaard, who you guys mentioned, yeah, look a lot more sharper, look a lot more lively, looks proper on it compared to the last previous seasons. I mentioned Saka looking a lot more sharper, but overall, our style of play, as I said, it's looking a lot more fluid, right? Like in these 2 games I've seen. So, do you actually think now that we've won the league, Arteta is looking at it thinking, now we play with a bit more freedom. Now the pressure's off, in a sense that we ain't got that cloud over us, or weight like on our shoulders to get over the line. It's been so long. Now finally got over the line. Are we going to start seeing us playing with a bit more freedom?
I'll quickly jump in there until give SJ a minute to think on that, because I think for me it's a combination of many things. I think one, Sparks told us so. Secondly, I do think there is a little bit of mentality here, which is that pressure's off. I think we dropped deeper last season, not because the manager was telling us to. I always go back to the Wolves game, but it happened in other games where he's waving the team forward and going mad on the sidelines, but we've dropped deeper. And I think it was fear of making mistakes. I think that's helped. I also think that we haven't faced a truly massively organised low block. I think City allowed us space and Coventry couldn't quite get up to intensity because they would just come back into the league. So I think there are tests ahead. But I also think the attack right now is actually better than it was last season, despite the fact we've only got Zolis in. And that's not me saying that Zolis is better than Trossard. It's too early to say, despite a great start. What it is you've got Havertz and you've got Gyökeres. Last season, we only had Gyökeres, who was new to the league. Gyökeres has had another season. Eze's had another season to get used to it. Odegaard is seemingly back to his best. Bukayo Saka is injury-free, touch wood, at the moment. And all of a sudden, you've got all of those things combining. And I think that is making us better. But I also think there's been a tactical tweak from Mikel Arteta. We're not seeing those fullbacks come inside and occupying the space where you'd want your forward players to be. You've got them going outside rather than getting in the way and congesting that central midfield and making it easier for teams to come in. But where I'd also say is Zolis has made a big difference on that left side so far, because more of our play came down the left than the right in I think both of the last 2 games, but certainly the City game. And suddenly the space on the right for Saka, Odegaard, White to operate in. And I think it's all of those things. But SJ, I may have taken everything you were going to say, but anything to add or challenge on that?
No, I mean, I agree with what you said. Level of opposition we haven't played yet. With Coventry, respect to them. We haven't played an organised low block as such. That could happen this Monday at Villa Park because they're missing a lot of key players. They've been raided this summer. So Unai
Emery coming off one hell of a beating.
Yeah, so they might try and shut up shop. Just play for a draw and just play for a bit of pride and respect, because you don't want to get another walloping at home in front of their fans, because it could turn ugly down there.
Do you think an early goal turns that crowd, SJ? Like, really turns that crowd?
I think it does. It was a manner of defeat on Sunday against Brighton. I think we might get onto it. The 4-0 defeat. It was, like I said, they'd lost so many key players this summer and haven't really replaced them. I know they're linked to a few players, Leao. I think they went for Mateta as well, possibly just today as well. So it's not really like for like. They're replacing it because they lost a starman.
They are close to getting Nicholas Jackson over the line Villa today for 60 odd million.
Emery had him at Villarreal, I'm pretty sure, as well. Jackson.
Yes, I think he probably did, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to shake his hand when he arrives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just the way we set up at the moment is a bit more attacking, but I do agree. Just end on that. I think we need to see against a proper organised low block, see if it's properly working. But I do think the way we have set. I mean, there's another key moment. I think Lewis Skelly towards the end of last season. Obviously, he came in the team, and I think he's helped us. Just the way he's able just to turn on the ball, use his body to create space and open up the game. Different to ways we've met. I mean, Zubmeni came on, he was tidy again, kept his passes neat, short, but a lot of them did go backwards and sideways. But whereas, Skelly and Odegaard previously in the previous 60 minutes before him was very direct and forward. Every pass had a meaning going forward. So, yeah, I won't babble on about that, but yeah, I do agree. We need to see a high level opposition, low block, and see if this attacking flair, the handbrake, has really come off.
And I was going to go and quickly cover the PFA Team Player of the Year, which has just come out. But while we're on Villa, because we might as well sort of preview the game slightly, but they obviously got that battering against Brighton at the weekend, 4-0, man sent off. Anything that could go wrong for them went wrong for them on Sunday. I mean, what are your thoughts on that game and how, SJ's kind of alluded to it a little bit there, but how do you think that affects them going into the Arsenal game, Josh?
Perfect time to play them for me. And if you remember last season as well, they had a very similar start where they bottomed the league, I think, for the first 5-6 games.
They didn't score a goal for 5 games or something.
Didn't score a goal in the whole of the English. I think the only English team at like League Two was scoring like everywhere, man. They had a horrendous start. And
it
again,
was a close call as to who's going to score first, me or them.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. That. So it wouldn't surprise me if they have a very similar start. And yeah, you lot are right. Like they're completely losing every player left, right, and centre. Some of their key players as well. And obviously being a man down in a new signing in João Gomez will be in the midfield as well. We know will be a big miss for them. So the fact that you lost.
I mean, just quickly. I mean, they've lost. They've lost a keeper. They signed a new one, obviously. They've lost Luca Digne. They've lost Tillemans. Onana's injured. Their new signing, who I can't pronounce it, nearly went to Newcastle in midfield, is out.
Manzazabi, yeah.
That's the one. Well done. Obviously, sending off means they're short of another midfielder. Watkins is gone. Obviously, Nicholas Jackson's coming in. They've lost Morgan Rogers and replaced him with Garnacho. I know they've had to sell because of these UEFA sanctions, but it really has left Emery decimated, and he doesn't look happy.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, he's got them up there, and I know. Take away what aside from Arsenal, obviously didn't work out at Arsenal, but I think he's done a remarkable job for them to get them up there, playing Champions League football, winning Europa League, right? And he has his thing of managing these, and they're a big club, right? But in terms of the quality of players, I remember when he was at Villarreal, for example. He had, Juan Foyths, Coquelin's, Etienne Capoue, 39 Rabiot. So the thing that gives me confidence with Villa is Unai Emery, even though it's why I mentioned what happened last season as well. He still got Champions League football, turned it all around when the odds were against him again and lesser quality. And even though he's losing a lot of these players, they are getting replacements in, again, maybe lesser quality to the ones that they had. And again, they're also playing Champions League football as well this season, which will play a massive effect, as we know, to most teams. So I don't think they're going to get European places, but maybe around mid-table because of.
You can do better than Spurs then. Last season,
a lot better than Spurs,
when they were trying to manage it. I mean, SJ, I mean, any thoughts on that sort of Villa performance at Brighton, and what would you do if you were Arsenal right now going there on Monday? Because I think that's going to be a trickier game than maybe people think. Because Josh is right; they got all those players out, but I think the fact they're coming off that battering, it's their first home game of the season under the lights. It's actually going to make it harder for Arsenal. I'd rather go there at 3:00 on Saturday, to be honest with you, because I do think that battering they've received is going to impact them. But I didn't know if you had any reflections on that Brighton game. We'll come to Brighton as well because I think they deserve their flowers. But on Villa's performance and what that means for Arsenal and how they go about this game next Monday.
I mean, I agree with Josh. I think it's a perfect time to play Villa. I think the last time we actually beat Villa at Villa Park was an early game as well.
2-0, wasn't it? Yeah.
2-0 when Trossard scored and didn't celebrate because he was on the bench and not happy.
Yes.
I mean, their front four against Brighton was Buendia, McGinn, Barkley, and Hemmings. If they play that same four against us, I don't give Villa a chance, to be honest. They haven't got a recognised striker. Don't know what's happening with Ollie Watkins. He wants to leave, get his money in Saudi.
Nicholas Jackson should be registered on time, but he won't have trained much with them.
Yeah, he won't train
much.
He
didn't have a good season last season in Germany, but Villa's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, he won't be acclimatised to Villa in the way they play. So hopefully that's not. And maybe he might not be. Is he fit? I'm not sure if he's fit. He's been training, but I'm not sure he's got match fitness as such.
Yeah.
So they haven't got a recognised striker. The defence has been, like I said, been decimated. We've got Tyrone Mings back there, Lindelof and Pau Torres. I understand you maybe say
get Matty Cash. I mean, come on.
The Polish sensation. Yeah. No, I understand what he means Monday night under lights, but I'm not worried. I'm not as worried as I haven't been previous years going to Villa Park.
No,
I think
they're
we're
not the
flying.
same side, are they?
Yeah, I think we're flying right now. I think they've been, like I said, they've been absolutely decimated and been ransacked of all their assets. So I'll be disappointed if we didn't win. Unai Emery's got a massive task in his hands. Like I said, they're in Europe this season. He needs. I mean, to be fair, his stock is high. He's gone there. Like I think Josh said, he's done a great job there. He's got back Villa in Champions League after years they haven't been in Champions League. And he progresses. He don't just get him. He doesn't finish outside 24. They progress and they get a bigger team, get knocked out. I think they ran PSG pretty well a couple of seasons ago. Before the PSG beat us. So he's done a great job down there. He's been backed. I don't know how they keep getting UEFA financial difficulty when they're in the Champions League, get Champions League money, whereas them down the road are spending like money's going out of fashion with no European money. And they're paying off
finances. My favourite topic. I can answer that one for you.
Yeah, double kid, definitely.
And they're paying off a stadium as well, apparently. So I don't think Villa. I just think it's a great time to play them, and I do expect us to go there and get 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly on those finances. So Villa and Newcastle in similar situations, aren't they? Where their fan base isn't as big as Arsenal or Tottenham. You haven't got the price of London. So Arsenal and Tottenham make massive money off their stadiums that can't be matched by Villa and Newcastle. And Villa and Newcastle have been going in and out of the Champions League. So have Spurs, but their revenues are massively up because of that stadium. Simultaneously, Spurs, despite spending a lot of money on transfers, their wages were really quite low.
Yeah.
Whereas Villa were spending, I think at one point, Villa were up to about 87% of their entire revenue was being spent on wages. It got really high. And that's where they got themselves into trouble. Tottenham also has some flex this year as well, because while they had the Champions League money last year, they got some flex because they are not in UEFA competition. Therefore, they can go to 90% squad ratio. Villa being in Europe are at 75, and that is what allows Tottenham to spend. It is their underspend on wages, despite actually spending more than us in the transfer market in the last few years, that enables that to happen. So that's where they have 97. I knew it was really high. I would have said 87 because 97 seems too high, but it was really, really, really high, and that's where they've got themselves into difficulties.
That's the problem with these squad cap rules, or the PSR, SS, whatever it is now. These teams have to go to extreme measures just to compete with the Big Six, which is a bit of a shame. Like you mentioned, Newcastle, they're probably the richest club in the world, but with the restrictions, they can't really do much, and that's why the team who came there Bruno went there originally thinking that it was going to be a massive project. He thought we'd be playing alongside Mbappe at one point. It just didn't come to fruition because I think.
Well, in fairness, he nearly ended up alongside Ethan Mbappe, but that deal fell through.
So it's just difficult for these teams to keep up. We all know the Leicester League win was an anomaly, and it probably kicked the Big Six back into shape and tying up the rules and said we're not having that happen again. It's a shame.
It's a generation thing, that really, wasn't it? For
Leicester? I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame because there are clubs out there who have the financial backing. I mean, most clubs these days have billionaire owners. They're just restricted in what they can put into clubs, and
well, there's so many of the Premier League teams in the sort of top 20, 30 richest clubs in Europe, aren't they? Which kind of really shows what it is. I mean, I get why the SCR rules are in place, but I think it does need looking at because it's not quite working. But equally, we have to go back to when they came in, because clubs were going out of business like there was no tomorrow because of their spending, and that's what it was brought in for. The answer to that is I hold something in my hand because it keeps me occupied. I fiddle, but there we go.
So do I. Look, I've got a euro I just found. I'm putting on today. I don't know where it is.
But there we go. Welcome, Khalid and Niall, both of you, into the chat, and the Renfrewshire boot room. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Thank you ever so much for your kind comment. I don't recognise you if you're new in the chat for either me or Sparks, who is not here at Footy Corner. Please do give both channels a sub. But very quickly before we move on, thoughts on Brighton? They are now top of the league. I was talking to a Brighton fan who may or may not be my mother-in-law on Sunday on the way to a game, and she was saying, I thought they'd beat Villa, and I said, if they beat comfortably. I didn't think it would be that comfortable, to be clear. And she said, we can't score, and we've lost Danny Welbeck, and we've got Europe this season. But they did score at the weekend. They really found their shooting, which they didn't last year. I mean, I think in that Brighton away game, we could have played another 90 minutes, and they still wouldn't have scored. Do you think this is a little bit of an anomaly because of Villa finding their feet? And do you think Europe going to affect Brighton, or are they going to have a season where they fly up the table? Because I kind of have them in the bottom half of the table because I didn't think they had the squad depth there to cope with Europe. But that win at the weekend was very, very impressive.
Yeah, no, it was for sure, and especially when they lost a striker like Danny Welbeck, because I thought he did fantastic for them. Last season as well, I think he got some great numbers. But yeah, I mean, I think also it could be the Villa thing, because you look at them, and I'm not taking anything away from them. They were ruthless. They fully deserved that win. Brighton played some really nice football, but you look at the Villa goals. I mean, they were calamitous defensively, man. I think it was Pau Torres for Villa, their centre back. He got rinsed of about 2-3 of their goals. He just all over the place for them. There's one of their fourth goal, just playing out from the back, I think Joao Gomez just trying to dribble back to the goalkeeper, gets caught out of possession, and it's like those things. I mean, you got to look.
Schoolboy, innit?
It's schoolboy. It really is. But again, not taking anything away from Brighton, because I've rated them as such a well run club with the players, and how they find these gems, you could say. And in the end, I think we saw today with, or was it Baliba they just got rid of to go Man United, but they've done it with like Caicedo. I don't know, it's a list of whole players where they get these great players and then they sell them and get big money. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the team now. I mean, they got some good players in there. That Hinshelwood, obviously the guy who got the brace, like he looked a really promising player as well. Vucevic at the back as well. That centre back, a lot of hype around him. He was actually.
I can't believe Spurs let him go, to be honest.
Yeah. He was at Spurs, wasn't he? Right, and then he went to, I think, Hamburg, and everyone was raving about him, and rightly so. Got the World Cup with Croatia as well, and now probably really excited. Brighton fans really excited to see him because he looks proper as well. So yeah, and then the manager as well, like Hertzler, I think is a really, really good manager. Obviously coming in. Say again.
Sore loser, like.
A bit of a sore loser.
Not as sore as Emery, obviously, who walked off. Presumably, Hertzler didn't get across quickly enough, and that's why he walked off down the tunnel. And it must have been cold.
yeah. I remember that last season. Yeah, but yeah, like he came in as one of the youngest managers as well, didn't he? If I'm not wrong. Yeah. So yeah, I think they're always a side that will as someone said in the chat there, they're so well run, and this is like, I think, the second time they're in Europe. I think De Zerbi got them Europa League a few seasons ago. So it as I said, it's going to play an effect. Playing what they in? Is it conference they're in?
Yes, I think they are conference.
It's conference, yeah.
It is but they're going to play Thursday night either way, and I think that's where it could hit. They, Khalid is spot on here. They are a very well run club. And I think that I'm delighted they got into Europe last season because I think they deserved it. But we did see the effects on Palace last season on how that did.
Yeah.
When you've got, and I think Sunderland, I think, will be the big losers from being in Europe this season because they overachieved last season. Fair play to them. But Khalid, any thoughts on Brighton?
You mean SJ?
Not Khalid. I mean SJ. Sorry. Khalid's giving his thoughts on Brighton. Sorry, SJ.
I was watching the chat waiting for his response, but yeah.
Khalid, feel free to talk more on Brighton. SJ.
Yeah, I only saw the highlights because I was watching the Man City game, to be honest, at the same time. I didn't have a multi-screen on, but look, Brighton are a well-run team. I like their manager. He's young. He plays expansive football. They've got some talented players there. Their model is simple. They find gems, sell at a high price. They've been doing it for years, and they've always. I don't think they ever cheat. I think they're now an established Premier League team, well and truly, 100%. I don't know where they find these players from, but I'm sure there's a few there this season that will probably take off, and next summer you'll see them go for another 60, 70 million to another team. We'll probably be buying.
Who's just gone to United, so. But there you go. Very quickly then, let's just quickly to move on. Team of the Year's just come out. It's Raya, Gabriel, O'Reilly, who I thought was actually outstanding last season. Fair play.
Yeah.
William Saliba, Jurien Timber. So 4 out of the back 5 there, all Arsenal. Midfield is Declan Rice, presumably in a single pivot if they're putting this into a team with. I don't know how they're setting this team up actually, but it's Rice, Fernandes, and Cherky. It's Bruno Fernandes, and then front 3 are Igor Thiago, Haaland, and Antoine Semenyo. And thoughts on those Arsenal players? 5 Arsenal players, obviously in that side, and then on anyone else. Any surprises there for you, SJ?
No, I think those 5 were the reason why we won the league. To be honest, they were a mainstay throughout the season. Didn't have any injuries between them really, apart from Timber towards the end. David Raya, the best keeper. He could be the best keeper in the world, to be honest. You know, I think it's sensational. I can't remember where I heard it, but I think someone else said it. We probably won't win the league if we had Ramsdale in goal. Looking back, the uproar was why we're bringing Raya when we had Ramsdale, and it turns out to be validated for Mikel Arteta and the rest of the team. The centre back Saliba
was big on that, wasn't he?
Saliba, Gabriel, Rolls Royce. I mean, they're just those 2 at the back, probably best 2 centre back duo in the world again, alongside the PSG duo. And who's the other 2? Sorry, who was the other Arsenal players? It was Rice, Declan Rice. Yeah, I mean Declan Rice. I mean, he can play 5,000 minutes. He plays one way, which is 100% all the time, full throttle. And I didn't add my bit about him and Saka playing the first game. I'm very surprised, but they just love the game and they're just always available. Declan Rice, for the amount of minutes he plays and the amount of distance he's covered, his injury record actually is sensational for an Arsenal player, especially.
SJ, if you've just jinxed it, you know I'm coming.
Yeah.
I will go Liam Neeson on you. I will hunt you down.
Yeah, I mean, touch wood. Yeah, you're right. Touch wood. Yeah. But no, I think that's the right team. I mean, it should have been full Arsenal 11 with the champions, but I'll leave. That's for another day, you know.
Josh, thoughts on? I mean, I think SJ summed up the Arsenal contingent there, but thoughts on the others: O'Reilly, Haaland, Fernandes, Cherky, and Semenyo. Very Arsenal, Man City dominated. You know, anyone that you think sort of really across the league been unfortunate to not be included in there?
To be fair, I don't think they've actually got this run too. There's not a name really going last season that's really screaming to be in this. Like, I would have said someone like underrated Igor Thiago because of the goals he scored, but he's been included, hasn't he? Right?
For sure, Igor Thiago's in there as well.
He's in it,
and
yeah.
Included, yeah.
And O'Reilly as well. I think that's fully deserved from him. The way he's came in at Man City and how influential he's been to them. Maybe, do you know what? I would have second half of the season. You know, they got Semenyo in there, but I was actually really impressed with Doku. Second half, I don't know about what you guys thought about him, but second half of the season, I was really impressed with him. But again, the team of the year, it's not, you can't really base off second half, one half of the season.
No, and Semenyo was great at Bournemouth as well, of course.
Yeah, Semenyo had the Bournemouth effect, like, you know, when and then he moved in January, didn't he? And before Bournemouth, he was phenomenal as well. So yeah, I kind of do hear that. But I think everyone else, Cherky, as much as I can't really stand him because he's doing kick-ups against us in the Carabao Cup final and things like this, and he's a bit of I don't want to swear on here, but he's a bit of a, you know what, house. He's a fantastic
third
player,
house.
Man. Yeah, just call it like that. But yeah, he's really good player, man. And I mean, not last year, but maybe we'll talk about the Bournemouth game with them.
Yeah,
I thought we changed the game against Bournemouth.
Yeah, and thoughts here on Krupi, maybe over O'Reilly for Young Player of the Year. I'm assuming O'Reilly did get Young Player of the Year, and for me, I would have given him Young Player of the Year. Nico O'Reilly, I think, made a breakthrough, but Krupi looks like one of the best young strikers prospects in Europe. Obviously, sadly injured at the moment, but do you think that was right, or would you have gone for Krupi there?
See, that's a good point. That's actually a good point. Krupi, I'm a massive fan of. Obviously, he's injured right now, but if he was not injured, he'd be someone like at Arsenal, like we should be going for, because he's such a.
Well, James Nicholas has said that Krupi.
He's one of our targets.
Yeah,
long
one
term.
of our top targets, but the injury changed things.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because it's like he's so. I think 19, 20. The way how he came in, I love the way how Bournemouth played and Iraola played last season as well. How direct they were, because he actually played, I think, in behind, like as a 10, and he put Evan Nilsson up front for them for quite a lot of games. And Krupi would really thrive in those areas. And then again, he can do the thing out on the left. When he played for Lorient, I think he is striker for them, if I'm not wrong. I think that's naturally you know, but he could play anywhere, any different role. And the way how he reads the game is just
front four, can't he?
Yeah, all across. It just for his age as well. I think he's brilliant, man, and he's one for the future. That, as you said, Dom, it's good news that we're looking at him for the long term.
And SJ, very quickly before we move on, Bruno Fernandes given Player of the Year over Declan Rice. Right decision, or try not to be
he unceremoniously stole that assist record.
That wasn't an assist. I'm sorry.
I'm not giving that last one, but the Jeebus goal committee, or Jeebus assist committee, gave it to him. I mean, outrageous.
That was outrageous.
Outrageous, but I think based on that, if you do that in one season, 20 assists, you're gonna get an award. So even if he towards the end he was forcing them, his open goal, he's turning back trying to find someone. Hey, pass. He really wanted that record, and he got it in the end. So fair play to him.
And he dragged that United side.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been doing it for years, don't really got the pieces around him to help. Help his talent flourish even more. But
it's funny you talk about that because my daughter did that the weekend. She was on the hat trick and had an open goal, and she passed it. And me and the other coach were going, "What is she doing?" She passed it to someone who had a better open goal than she did. But there we go. Just very quickly, I think we can all say the answer to this is categorically yes.
100%. Yeah.
But there we go. Let's move on to other games then. And sort of to intro this, I think it'd be interesting to sort of see very quickly what was your big surprise of the weekend, results-wise, from the Premier League.
Oh,
I don't mind which one of you wants this first, but which result took you by surprise?
I think obviously Man United.
Man United
Hull. It has to be, I mean, all the metrics that got Hull to the Premier League just says they should be going down with a worse record than Derby. I think they overperformed ridiculously in terms of the XG, goals scored and goals against. They were in the bottom 3 in a couple of categories. So you'd think coming to the Premier League, I'm not sure what kind of business they've done. They've bought some players, but they're not bringing superstars in. The likes of Man United have done so. And you just thought the same way we got a nice cherry pick game. I know it's away. You thought Man United got a point to prove. Carrick meant to be this great manager based on his second half of last season, which I think done well. But just going to be different this season with 2 games a week, and they just didn't show up. Surprisingly, so I think that was the biggest shock for me. I wouldn't be surprised if Hull lose the next 5 games. You wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, if Hull lost the next 5 games. You'd be more shocked if Man United win the next 5 games. Hopefully they don't, because that kid will get his hair cut. But
there's not enough games between now and the international break for them.
That's true.
He's got to go until at least late September now. But I mean, I work with someone who supports Hull, and he was like, we shouldn't have come up. We've got no chance of staying up. And it's very clear that their business is all about preparing for the Championship next season, which I think is sensible, by the way. But what a result for them. And I think they played really well. But how do United bounce back for this? Is this a one-off blip, or are we seeing United revert back to the mean?
I mean, sorry, just quickly. I mean, they're lucky with their next game is another cherry pick game. Ipswich at home.
Yeah.
And this time they're at home, which I think does change the dial. I think Arsenal playing Coventry at home was certainly preferable to away. We saw that when we went to Brentford a few seasons ago. But Josh, how do you think United sort of is this? How do they recover from this? Because I think this has taken them by surprise. There's been rightly a lot of complaints from United fans. Many saying their window hasn't been good enough. Gary Neville, I thought, actually made a good point when he was talking about why they didn't go for Fernandes, who went to Tottenham, or Tonali that went to Tottenham. And his point was we had around 150 million-ish to sort of rebuild that midfield because we needed numbers in with Europe. And he said we had to sort of go for better value players in terms of, lower price and hope they develop into it, which is why we saw the likes of Santos come in. Because we needed 3, and you get one of them in, most of your business is gone, which I think is a fair point, but maybe not the right decision or anyway. But thoughts on United and how they respond?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys are saying, it's still very early days with this first game of the season, but it definitely is a big surprise. That's mad about Hull City, even their fans, saying that, they're not confident at all. And I know a lot of outsiders were saying they're going to go straight back down, but I thought they were phenomenal on the day. And they really, there's a number of things at Man United. I have to agree on the transfer window. Obviously, now they've just signed that Baleba guy to even strengthen that midfield, and he's got to come for me and really hit the ground running with them, because they signed Tielemans. Santos in there. I think Mainu's going to be trusted and he'll be back in the team. So I think that is one of the things they had to sign another midfielder because looking at both of their midfielders like Tielemans and Santos, for example, I don't think I'd give them too much. I'm not saying they're bad signings, but I don't think you give them too much confidence being the main two. You have to have more in there, and Baleba comes in, Mainu comes back, then that midfield was strengthened. But also the left back as well. You know, they had Luke Shaw, and I watched a bit of the game, and Hull City, they're targeting Luke Shaw. That side, the way I think it's their wing back side or wherever they played, there's so much space that they kept targeting, and I think that's a position that they can't rely on Man United. They need to go and get. I think they linked with Balde today from Barcelona, they need to go and get him right. He's I think he's still relatively young if I'm not wrong, but very quick, but a bit injury prone, but he'll elevate them at that left back position. So he's rapid, really highly rated player. Yeah, his legs are gone. You know,
on United, you can see what they've been doing because obviously they started up front. They rebuilt their front line. They brought in Cunha, Sesko, and Buemo. This summer they're focused mainly on the midfield. They brought in Baleba, Tielemans,
Santos.
So it looks like they're working from front to back. Obviously they threw a goalkeeper in there along the way because their goalkeeper was just crap. So they had to get that sorted out. Something that Chelsea should do, which is unreal. Chelsea haven't done that yet. Just spent billions and they still got Sanchez in goal. Unreal. But I think the defense is what they'll do next. So I agree with Josh. I think they need to go get Barnett and get him. But then
they start again on upgrading what they've got. They are basically following the Arsenal model, aren't they? Let's fix the areas of a team that are most identified with the club in many ways. For United, it is always their attack that you identify them. Arsenal, you go back to George Graham and before that, it was built on a solid defence. And their attack needed fixing. It was the worst aspect of their team. Our defence was the worst aspect when Arteta came in. And it's really interesting, although in reverse, to see them both sort of take a similar strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think SJ mentioned about Michael Carrick. Like, I still think, I agree with the job that he did in the second half of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they had second half of the season one of the highest points. And obviously that ultimately got them, Champions League football. But I think that's also, I think you said this, Dom, the effect that could play on them as well, having to play in Europe as well. I keep mentioning.
Last season they played 40 games, right? So he's got a week to prepare for every game. And in fairness, I actually think he did a good job at Middlesbrough before the rug was pulled on his eye. But United is a whole different beast, And for every Mikel Arteta, there's a Solskjaer. Frank Lampard at Chelsea. I know he won a few bits there, but Steven Gerrard at did he go to Liverpool? But these managers that were good players for their either their clubs or come into management, and it doesn't quite work out. So we'll see what happens.
What do you make of the guy we had who can't remember his name, Haven? Did you think he's good? Because I know it's a lot of practice. He's what 19. He's young, still got a lot of to work on. But I thought against Hull he was, and since I've seen him, I ain't been too impressed with him. But is it because they're throwing him in the deep? Because do they have anyone else? I know they got Lisandro Martinez. They got the other Lenny Euro, who's again a more young centre back. But
they've got the Dutchman who can't stay fit from Bayern, De Ligt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't even realize he was still there. That's how that's why he don't play enough.
Well, he's not been fit since September. I think it's really interesting, Aidan Heaven. I think he made the right decision to go to United, by the way. I don't like the way he did it, and I would like Arsenal to have been able to sell him. But his pathway to the first team was much clearer because you've just identified the issues there. But I'm not convinced he'd have made it into the Arsenal first team. If you look at Marley Salmon coming through as well, I think he would have beaten him out comfortably. And trying to get in that centre half at the moment, Arsenal is tough. But SJ, I don't know if you have a different view.
No, I thought Aidan Heaven started well at Man United last season, but I do agree with Josh on Saturday. I thought he was absolutely poor. I was shocked he didn't get hooked at half time. I genuinely thought he was going to get hooked.
Yeah. He was terrible.
He was losing every aerial duel. His positioning was all over the place. It just seemed like he wasn't just switched on in the game. So I genuinely thought he was getting hooked. I was surprised he came up for the second half. And but yeah, I think there's a talent there. Obviously, his pathway was a bit more difficult at our club. Big Gabby and the lights down that side, but Man United have a lot of defenders there, which they're wasting money. I mean, Lenny Yoro, he was a big money
Yeah.
signing. Hasn't really taken to the league. He's still. I mean, he's slight, just like Mosquera, but I think Mosquera's playing better than him. He has injuries as well. But if they can get Delict back, Harry Maguire stay fit, Luke Shaw, he's not the same player. I mean, I was shocked to hear that he played 38 games last season. That just
First time he's done it in a while.
Yeah. I mean, you're used to seeing Luke Shaw in the crowd in a tracksuit watching, clapping the boys every week.
Helped though by the fact they were playing every 7 days.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it was. Yeah, so but yeah, he's not. He can't play every 3 days, so he'll need to be nursed. So I think defensively is going to catch Man United out this season. In terms of
just very quickly, SJ. Sorry, I want to say quickly hello to Sam, and I think Khalid makes a point here on Belieber. I think that will really help their midfield, and as Josh was alluding to, was it USJ? They've gone attack midfield. Defense is the way they're looking at. Defense is obviously next, but I think he makes a really good point here on United not being able to break down low blocks. They're suited to transition. And they are probably now going to face not necessarily a low block like we do, but you think teams will probably respect them a little bit more given the way they played last season. And can they break that down? Because against Hull, obviously they sat in, and I was talking about Brighton against us last season. I think Hull would have defended for another 90 minutes and kept United out at the weekend because they couldn't break them down because they are built for transition, and they might not get those opportunities as much as they did. Do you think that is a fair reflection, or was it just a bad day at the office for United before we move on?
I think especially what I noticed when how we're playing as well is like Man United would get out to the width at times. There'd be no runners in the box. The box would be empty at times, and then the cross would be going all over the place. I was quite surprised they didn't actually play Sesko, because I think Sesko's a guy sort of like that target man up top for them. He's able to hold the ball up really well. He's able to link up play really well. He's able to make their runs into the box. He's quite aerially threatening as well. And I think when you play against a team like that, you need that outlet, like that target man. Well. The vocal point, yeah.
I mean, you can see why Arteta wanted Šeško over Gyökeres in tactical fit, but I think Gyökeres obviously offers you something different. But I agree with you. I think that Graham was crying out for Šeško there. We will quickly move on then to Liverpool, Newcastle. There, Newcastle we touched on earlier, decimated. They got a really good point at the start of the season. Obviously, a lot of history between these two sides, given the Isak situation from last year. Lots of people saying Liverpool. Some people are saying Liverpool are going to have another bad season. Iraola obviously in there as a new manager. Some saying that they shouldn't be slept on and could be Arsenal's closest challengers. I mean, SJ, thoughts on the game from a Liverpool perspective, and how do you think their season's going to go? Josh, you're going to get Newcastle, by the way, so you can have a think about the barcodes.
I don't see Liverpool as our closest challengers. In the game, for the game itself, I think just looking at Liverpool, they seem just imbalanced. The team is just, the fullbacks are not good enough. I think Van Dijk's passed it on his way down, which is affecting the team as a whole because he used to set the tempo from the back. Liverpool used to be able to squeeze up high, and Van Dijk would just defend by himself pretty much, and just put the ball diagonals into Salah, and the rest is history. But I just think there's a bit of disjointment across from front to back. They haven't really replaced Salah yet. They've got the youngster Rio on the right-hand side. You can't expect much from him at that age. There's a lot of pressure on him. Florian Wirtz, a big money signing again. The big transfer fee, you expect a good return on that. He hasn't hit the ground running. A lot of pressure on him this season to deliver.
Questions need to be asked now about Florian Wirtz. It's been a while.
It's been a long while. Yeah, he's not been injured. He's just not been performing. Isak, he had injuries last year, let him off. But I mean, it's not easy going back to St James's Park, especially when they're against you and they let him know that they were against him. I think that probably was the reason why he didn't take the penalty. At the end.
I do too. Yeah.
It would have been a very high pressure situation.
I actually think it was the right decision not to give him the penalty. Yeah. I mean, did you think it was a penalty? I mean, for me, I think it was a very clear penalty. But
it was. It wasn't. I think people always look for they need like a foot to do the contact. But if it was with his knee on his thigh. It was a penalty for me. It was a very tired tackle. He knew at the time. He knew what he did.
It was a tired tackle for Lewis Hall, which is a shame because I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah, he would have done it in the first half. In the first 10 minutes, it was just last minute. His body wasn't responding to what his head wanted to do. He's like move, like no. So I just get something there, see what I can get on it, and sadly it was nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he initiated contact slightly, but it was
yeah,
a clear penalty. Lewis Hall got it all wrong.
yeah. I mean, Cody Gakpo, I mean, he's a player that's been linked with Man City now. You know, he's been linked with Tottenham, so I think he's a player they put on a hot. I mean, it's a shock that he's starting with the links that he's been given to rivals essentially in the league. He got himself a goal. I thought he played well. Again, just back to Isak, it was a player that we wanted. I wanted him over Gyökeres at the time. So it's a big season for him and Wirtz. If Liverpool are going to challenge us, I don't think they will, or even possibly challenging the Cup or Champions League. I don't think they'll do that. I think their best hope alongside Man United and possibly Man City is a Carabao Cup or FA Cup. Because I think we're
And a Champions League finish.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think I think those fan bases would definitely take a Champions League finish and either an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. You know, a day out at Wembley.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. They got a new manager who I think did an excellent job at Bournemouth. He's a really good manager, but we all know how difficult it is stepping up. And I still don't, although they've added some defenders this season, I still don't think the balance and the depth in that squad in defensive midfield and defence in particular is there. Alisson's shown himself to be injury prone. You know, we're hoping our goalkeeper stays fit, but I think the same can be said for them. You know, so for me, I think they're at least another season off challenging. You know, we'll see. Europa League will help them because it's less intense than Champions League, but Newcastle United, Josh, lots of people sort of, you know, laughing at them pre-season. Last season they lost Isak. This season it's Gordon. It's gone. It's Bruno, obviously, to us, although we haven't yet bid, I believe, for Bruno. So, you know, and they've lost other players as well along the way. Really struggled to get the targets in both this summer and last summer. Lost their manager, and yet they put in a performance like that against Liverpool. You know,
I thought they really
how unpredictable it is week one, but thoughts on them and their season.
I was really impressed because all the factors you just named there. I thought the transitions, they looked deadly as well every time they went forward, you know. And I highlight Visa, for example. Now, Visa had a very underwhelming season compared to when he's at Brentford, for example, right? The goals that he scored. Yeah, because I think he only played like 400 minutes around that number. And obviously completely dropped off. But the way he performed, I thought he ran the show against them. But also having this new manager in, I think it's quite exciting for them because this Giselle guy, he's 5 major trophies in 5 seasons or something like this. At Salzburg, Austrian League, Austrian Cup, at Al Nassr or the Saudi, he won the league. I think he won the 2 Asian Champions Leagues across the whole of Asia. He won it back to back with his team. So he's already proved that he can obviously win, but it's a huge step up. This is Premier League, and this is obviously Newcastle United are going through a complete transition in players and losing a lot of quality and losing depth. And obviously, as you said, struggling for a place as well. But I think also because they ain't got European football as well, they're another team that's only going to have that extra rest as well. We've still got a week left of the market. Maybe they can still look to bring in a few more. I think they've obviously signed the likes of that Dedic guy
coming in.
Yeah, Gonzalez is on his way in now in the midfield. So if they can just keep getting some more additions in, then I think they'll be. Because I've seen a lot of people say they'll be fighting relegation. I don't, because I know it's early days, but seeing them and seeing their manager, I'm really confident with their manager on. That he can get them and they'll have a decent season. Maybe not European places because of how pulled apart they've been, sort of thing. But I think relegation or things like this, I don't see that happening personally.
No, I think there were significantly worse teams than them in the league as well.
Yeah, but just quick. Also, you mentioned like Liverpool as well. 100% agree that the depth. If you look at their attackers right now, with Cody Gakpo leaving, Ekitike is injured, right? They've got Isak up front. They had to play Rio on the right wing.
Who's also injury prone, Isak.
Isak's also injury prone. But I'm struggling. Who else have they actually got? They've got Rio. They've got Chiesa, who needs to go back to Italy ASAP, otherwise he's going to be finished.
Gakpo, who might be leaving.
Gakpo, who's most likely going to be leaving.
Well, I think he's going to stay, by the way, because I don't think he wants to go to Tottenham over. I'd set Liverpool over going to Tottenham if I'm Gakpo. Yeah. He's got limited competition. And if I'm Liverpool, do I want to sell to City unless I think Gakpo's an absolute dud? Which I don't think he is. I don't think he's brilliant.
No. But it's like then I'm looking at their attack and their depth. It's not there. But I know they're looking at what Barcola. If they get the Barcola deal in, whatever money
massively, yeah.
that will elevate them massively. But I know that the money's a big thing. I saw PSG today, 130 million pounds. Liverpool only want to pay, I think, 100 million. So there's still a massive gap there to try and meet that. And then you've got Mbaye from PSG. I think a more younger player there. I think they're looking at that the Brighton. What's his name, man? The Brighton guy. Minter, that's it. Yeah, Minter to come in. So again, they need to, for me, improve this attacking depth. Obviously, losing Salah is huge. It's huge.
But equally defensively, Josh. I mean, Gomez injury prone. Ariola's come in, good defender, injury prone. Van Dijk's 406 years of age. They've lost Konate. Bradley's coming off a big injury. Kirkes and Frimpong are wing backs.
They ain't looking. Yeah, even in that Newcastle game. I mean, I know Elanga's rapid, but I saw a few times Kirkes getting caught out and not really. I thought he was good at Bournemouth, Kirkes, but since he's made that switch over, hasn't been. I don't think he's lit it up the way I did at Bournemouth.
He's less protected now, isn't he? I mean, very quickly as well. Khalid right to point out the Kevin Keegan tribute, which was absolutely awesome. And RIP to him, and he will have meant a lot to a lot of people in that area, and of course, former Liverpool player as well. So both sides giving their tributes there, and I think we should acknowledge that. Khalid, thank you very much for reminding me of that. And thank you again here for the kind compliment, and hopefully we will talk Giants at some point soon as well. He's a big New York Giants fan. We are sort of running out of time. I do want to sort of touch on our two nearest challenges, I think, that we're probably expecting. SJ, you can have the choice here. Do you want Chelsea or City? Thoughts on how they got on in week one and how you think their season's going to go?
Oh, I mean, I'll take City. Yeah, so I watched that game on Sunday.
Yeah, you said actually. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean, I actually watch it for FPL reasons, but yeah. Yeah, I didn't have Haaland as the captain, so I was like, oh, yeah, Haaland don't do it, but he missed a glaring chance.
Yeah.
I think City
misses hair as well.
Yeah, that's a new look. Yeah, new look. I think it's.
I quite like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good for his branding though. I think from the World Cup, I think his branding was his hair. It was a part of, it's part of the image, the hair. He built it up over the World Cup, but yeah, we'll digress on that. I think City will be our closest challengers, but I don't think we'll be as close as last season. I think they're still missing something, an X factor in the midfield. Letting Roger go was a big mistake.
They're missing any midfielders, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the thing. When I saw Rico Lewis, I didn't see the starting lineup. I missed the first 2 minutes. So when I saw Gay in the middle, I couldn't understand why he kept going forward. I thought he was trying to do Chris Wilder right wing back up. You know what I mean? We used to do with Jordan Wilder, but he played him in the midfield. So I don't know if Maresca's trying to be completely different and be his own man.
Do you think maybe he was making a point of, you sold Rodri, we've lost Bernardo Silva, we're selling Gonzalez. I need midfielders. Obviously, they got Buadi, who I think is a player coming in. Elliot Anderson, I think, will be better, but 160 million was an overpay. And they're obviously after Enzo. Do you think it was a little bit of a, you need to help me out here?
I mean, if he was making a point, at some point he's making because,
quite big game to make it in.
Yeah, I mean, even when they were 1-0 down, he didn't even change it. It was another one at half time. I thought, okay, he's going to stop this at half time and, bring on the subs. But he just, he's stubborn to what he wants to do. I don't think he'll do it going forward. I don't think it worked for them. Gay, he's a centre back. I don't know if he played midfield when he was younger, but he's predominantly a centre back.
He's just centre back all day long, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, you could have put O'Reilly where Gay was, and then you got the likes of Shirky on the bench, Grealish on the bench.
Well, Gavardio could have gone out to left back, right?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I don't know what he's trying to do there.
I mean, I do think it's a message for the owner. I think Sparks agrees. But
yeah, I mean, it probably could be. I mean, are they linked with anyone? I'm not sure if Man City are linked with any players.
Enzo Fernandez.
Of course, of course.
And Buadi, I think, is all but done.
Oh yeah, Buadi, yeah. So I mean, those players will come in and improve their midfield. Buadi's young; he's just adapted to the Premier League. Enzo, can't stand him. I actually can't stand him. He's a good player, but I can't stand him. It's such a
He is a good player, but I get you.
I know that monetized Sparks, but I'm not gonna bring down the level of
tone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Man City, they don't look as solid defensively as they once did. easy to. I won't say easy to get, but I think they will get shit more goals than they did last season. This season, and I don't think they'll score as many goals this season as they did last season. So that's a recipe for not getting close to Arsenal. Yeah, I'm not worried about Man City. It's just yeah, I don't think Man
Do
City.
you have them as our closest challengers, SJ?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you have them as our closest challengers?
I do. I do think they'll be our closest challenge. I just think I maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself. I think we're going to win the league by like double digits this season. I do think.
Oh, wow.
I do think we will pretty much double digits. Sorry, 1 second, I'm going to sneeze. Josh, you want to take over?
On Chelsea.
Yes.
Your thoughts on them? You know, they obviously beat Fulham 3-2 yesterday evening. Scored their fastest goal of the weekend. I actually featured in calm take of the day or something on a show this morning of someone else's. The Big Arsenal Breakfast because Igal put out a tweet saying their attack looked really dangerous, and I said their defense looked dangerous too. Unfortunately for Chelsea fans, for their own team. But do you think that summed up Chelsea, or you got a different view on that?
No, honestly, I think that's a good way to sum them up. You know, I mean, I saw the attack. I think the way, correct me if I'm wrong, the way how he played it was João Pedro up front, and because he went back three, didn't he? With Lacroix, Chuapon, and can't remember. Yeah. So Cole. So he went back three, and then he had Rodgers and Palmer sort of together, like free roaming around in the central positions, and sometimes just out. And then you had João Pedro just in front of them. And obviously, the way how I looked into Rodgers when we was looking at him, Dom and SJ as well, in terms of naturally with our number 10, or we'll see him play on the left wing. And we know for Villa he sort of drifted out wide, but the way how he used those front three, and we saw Cole Palmer look sort of back to, I know it's only early stages, but look, where's his Cole Palmer been for Chelsea? You know, he looked really sharp. He looked on it. Again, I think Fulham were quite open in the game as well, which kind of helped them a little bit. And considering that when you consider goal in the first minute like that, and even though they did get the equalizer as well, but the reason why they got the equalizer is because, as you said, Dom, it's their defense and their goalkeeper. You know, I've always seen this Sanchez guy as a bozo for them. I've always looked at him as a guy like always so shaky, and he just keep proving the point. How are you not saving that? You know, it's absolutely calamitous. They need a new goalkeeper for a while, man. And with him in goal, I think that's what definitely could hold them back quite a bit. And yeah, I have to agree. Maybe the defense as well. But I remember we were saying this, Dom, about them when they in this window, the additions of the Hendersons for the dressing room for the experience, for the Danny Welbecks who had a great, as I said, had a great year, has been doing his thing really in the last couple of seasons at Brighton. To sign a player like him, I think those are the stayed fit as well. I think those are the things that they had to be doing, because they've spent so much money on these raw and younger players. But I think these are the first two signings they signed over the age of 25 to 26. So this is a thing that they have to start doing. And obviously having the new addition of Alonso coming in, who has that record. I ain't going to judge him too much around Madrid. I get the pressure is there at Real Madrid, but come on, it's, you look at Real Madrid and how they treat and how the fans treat and how they're not barely any manager lasts. They change it effectively year in, year out. So he couldn't really get his ideas across, I personally thought, at Real Madrid compared to him at Leverkusen, where he did invincible, right? Won the, I think the German Cup, right? And got to Europa League final. So I think that's a great, as a tactician as well, you can quite clearly see he's going to be, and he has already proved himself. I know the Premier League is a big step up now, but he looks like the right sort of guy. I think they should be confident with him as a manager. But yeah, I think their attack's something to really look at as something that we've got to be careful of. But it's just their goalkeeper for me, man. And as you said, the defensive issues.
I mean, I think they're the two closest rivals to Arsenal. I think City's rebuilding midfield concerns me about them. In terms of from a City perspective, from an Arsenal perspective, I think it's great, because I think it'll take a while to get going. But I do think Chelsea's lack of Europe will really, really help them there. Yeah. But SJ, any thoughts on that quickly before we do?
I was about to echo what you said. They got one game a week, so if Alonso can implement his tactics correctly and get the boys working together and get a proper unit out there, they can field the same 11 each week. You don't need to make wholesale changes each week because you're not really playing much. They got a nice draw in the cup tomorrow against Luton or Thursday. So I mean, it'll rotate a little bit, and again they'll be back at the weekend with the first starting 11. So yeah, it's a season for Chelsea to kick on and probably set the foundations for next year, probably when they're back in Europe. I mean, yeah, I have actually written them off as challenging us, but thinking about it, they have the time and resources. Maybe put a challenge to us. If Enzo leaves, I think that's a big, big factor on why they can't challenge us. But if he goes to Man City and if he stays, I think he'll help them, challenge us this season. I just don't think they're going to get in front of Man City because of the defence and that keeper. I cannot believe the keeper is the keeper. Yeah.
I mean, he does obviously need upgrading massively, but I mean, I actually flipped from when I was on Josh's channel to doing a preview to when I did my own. Actually, I moved Chelsea ahead of City because of that massive change in City's rebuild in midfield there, which I think will really hurt them. But if Enzo moved to City, that might move it back a little bit. Bit of chat about relegation. We'll come back to that for a quick fire, a couple of questions at the end. But let's just cover Spurs. We were told Spurs are back. They had a really big window. And in fairness, I actually think they have had a decent window. They need a little bit more work to do. And if they can keep players fit, in theory, with one game a week, they could be an improved side, just significantly improved side.
Yeah.
I've never thought they're the 17th best side in the Premier League. But I say about keeping players fit, Kulievski looks nowhere near back. And Maddison is injured again. So, they got an absolute footballing lesson weekend. My Tottenham mate said he genuinely couldn't watch even before half. But not sure if you can hear me. My laptop bleeped out there. But thoughts on Spurs, gentlemen?
Oh, Josh.
Am I back?
I mean, as someone said in the chat, Cali Spurs are back doing what they do best. Yeah, exactly, man. At the end of the day, I echo you, Dom. I think some of the signings that they made, for example, Tonali in the midfield, and obviously Hernandez. I think those are definitely two upgrades, and then they're still looking to get Marmoush, and I think Savio's coming in for them, which is going to be very, very interesting to see how he does, of course. But yeah, I look at it. I think maybe getting these new additions in, I think they'll have a run of form. I think they'll have a slow start, but when these signings all come in and gel together with them, maybe we'll see them have and kick on and have a nice run of form. But I'm not looking at them. I think maybe they can scrape Europa League position. I think there's just better teams to finish above them.
6th to 8th window is where I've got them.
Yeah. But again, I don't see them finishing as low as they did in the last 2 seasons, of course. So yeah, man. But I think, yeah, hopefully. But I think Brentford as well, like their manager, Keith Andrews, like the job that he's done with them is absolutely remarkable. They're always a side that, since they've really, and I know that, and Thomas Frank was a big part of this, but since they got promoted, they've really been like this well-established side in the Premier, really a good side. Even though they lose some players, like they lost Mbemo to Man United, they lost Wizard to Newcastle. They lost Ivan
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even though they lose these players, like, obviously, Keith Andrews was, I think, the assistant to Thomas Frank, and he's took over and he's replicated that. And, yeah, they pay really nice, man. They completely pay them off the park. I remember they did that to Man United a few years ago when they done them, like, 4-0. They're always a side that can cause a little upset, and I think they're in for a very good season. Did they get European football? Or did they just miss out?
No, they were the B that missed out. So
yeah, they missed out.
They just about missed out. Gutted for them, man.
I mean, they won tonight. They won tonight 6-1 in the cup away to Birmingham, so they're looking good. They rotated their team, still won 6-1. So I mean, I agree. Brentford are a very good team. Well run. Yeah, Sangare is a very good player.
Yeah, he's in my FPL, by the way, so I'm probably buzzing with that.
But I actually watched a Tottenham game with Tottenham. I actually watched a Tottenham game with Tottenham fans in a bar. After we went out for a meal, fantasy football losing meal. The bill was ridiculous. The losers pay, and we had to pay, over £1,000 between us.
Man.
But yeah,
it wasn't even lost, I hope.
I know we lost this year. It's our first time losing, so we had to pick up the bill. It's annoying, but yeah, it was. We got a bit of revenge in the bar watching with Tottenham fans. I mean, you know, if Tottenham are a team that always have an excuse. Like they just can't lose. They always have, oh, we've got this player missing, that player missing. Unless they have their full 11 out there, the starting 11, they just think, oh, it's fine. Wait till so and so comes back or so and so comes back. But they never do come back. You know, Kulusevski been out for 14 months. Yeah, I mean, Archie Gray is a captain, decent player, but it's a weird.
Playing at right back.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a weird selection.
It's almost as if they shouldn't have sold a right back this week.
Yeah, it was a weird selection by the manager.
And their attack looks woefully short, Spurs.
Yeah, that is the thing, you know.
I mean, they're going to bring in Marmoush. A little bit of a dodgy dealing from City there, isn't it? Marmoush at 55 and Savio at 85, just to avoid paying Frankfurt. I think a bit naughty, but it's within the rules. So
you make a great point with Archie Gray being their captain, right? How old is he? Is he 20?
I think it's 20.
He's 12.
Yeah, he looks. Yeah, he looks 12. But like, I know we had Tony Adams, right? He was 21, I think, when he was Arsenal captain. I know there's been like young captains in the past, but making him captain, it just for me tells me like, is he the leader for them?
I think he's their 5th choice captain apparently, but the other 4 were out injured. But yeah, I agree that on that pitch, you had Andy Robertson, Premier League winner.
Yeah,
you could have had him. Obviously, I know he's new to the club, but he's an experienced player, so you could have had him. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I can't imagine Gray before the game getting the boys, being riled up and wanting to go out and run behind him as your captain.
Well, clearly not.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
I mean, as I've said before, there are different kinds of captain, but I don't see him sort of being in that leadership group, so it was an odd choice, really. But just very quickly, because it's 10, I just want a quick fire questions at you both. Best game for you guys at the weekend? We've covered most of the games. I know we haven't covered every single one, but best game for you at the weekend?
I would say it's not very quick fire, is it?
Yeah, but I haven't prepped you for these, so
I would say whole Man United. I did like that. I mean, I did like it because they lost. It was just a shock. That shock.
Yeah, whole Man United is a good one. I'll probably go Brentford Tottenham just because it's them lot, them.
I would have also gone Brentford Tottenham. I think Brighton, obviously the big surprise result, along with Hull of the weekend, just of how comfortably they beat Villa, but obviously Hull the surprise. But for me, Newcastle Liverpool was a really good watch, a really interesting stories around that with Keegan, with Isak, with Newcastle going through the ringer, Iriol, and 2 new managers. Really interesting story there. Let's go, because the guys in the chat have been talking about relegation. Can Lampard keep Coventry up? And Khalid says no. What 3 sides you got going down this season, chaps?
Hull, unfortunately. Coventry. I really want to keep. You know what? You convinced me as well, Listom, about Ipswich, and I'm really impressed with what I saw them. They beat Sunderland 2-1, right? And they got Gary O'Neill as manager, right? So, and I think you made this point. They've been here before, haven't they? Not last season, the season before that, obviously under McKenna, right? But they actually got they signed that Enciso guy who I thought was unbelievable against Sunderland. I'm looking at their team now, I've got them. I really want to keep them up, but then I'm just thinking, what other team that could go down?
I think Forest have a chance of going down. I think Forest. Yeah. I think Forest are not great. Sunderland as well. But it's just when it comes to it, it's just picking up the points. Last season was an anomaly in terms of the points that kept you up. It's usually around the low 30s. I think last season it was the high 30s. I think 40 to keep you up. I can't see Hull picking up more than 30 points. Ipswich, home form possibly might help them. They'll struggle away from home. And Coventry, I do think Coventry could surprise a few people just because they're pure physicality of that team. They're very athletic and very physical from what I saw on Friday. So I think if anyone stay up from the 3, I think could be Coventry, and I think Sunderland. and Nottingham Forest are two teams to watch out for. And I think they said yesterday on Monday Night Football, Fulham possibly, but I like Fulham. They're a team that just happens. They just randomly come with 47 points out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get. I don't know where they get the point from, but they just happen just to.
Yeah, I think there's enough about Fulham, but obviously their new manager. We'll see how they go. But they ran Chelsea relatively close last night, so we'll see. I mean, I had the 3 new teams going down, but I think Ipswich are the one that, for me, will stand the best chance of going up. But we will see there. Last one of these quick fire then is biggest surprise of the season.
Of the game week, or
no, well, game week we did at the start, but of the season, sort of surprise package. Who's going to sort of be this year's sort of Sunderland and come from nowhere?
Oh, like what? A really underrated team that comes out of the blue. Oh, okay, that's a good question, man.
Then I've got an Arsenal question to wrap us up. Don't you worry.
Let me look at the teams.
Well, I think Brighton are going to
Brighton's a good
challenge for the top 5. I would love to see a Brighton get into a Champions League or Brentford. One of those teams.
Maybe, yeah. I was going to say maybe Brentford. You know,
even it's not going to be at our expense. That's fine. It's not going to be at our expense. That's fine. You know, so one of the teams. It'd be nice just to get one of the teams in there. But yeah, I think surprise package could be a Brighton, even a Brentford.
Brentford, yeah, I was going to say
these teams can be solid at home and pick up some points, a few draws and a few wins away from home. Yeah. I think they will.
Accumulate. I mean, I think Brighton will struggle slightly when Europe kicks in. I had them as the outside shout for the dark horse of Champions League, but I had them in Europe last season. But I'm with Khalid here. You know, I think Tottenham will obviously improve massively. So will Chelsea, but I don't.
That's a good shout. Leeds, yeah.
My packet, they're my pick. I think they look really interesting this season. I'm not convinced they get Europe. Maybe they sneak into 8th. But I think Villa are going to drop. Brighton and Sunderland won't get Europe this season for me. Brighton, obviously, the better chance of a 2. You could sort of see Leeds sneak in there. I think Brentford will be too good for them as well. But
with Leeds, I think their manager, there's a game last season. I think he tweaked his system around completely. And I think since that game, was it in January? Since that game,
it might have been Feb, but it was around that sort of turn of the year time, and it changed them completely.
They completely kicked on after that. Yeah,
I feel like it was against Man City.
Yeah, they scored 4, didn't they, against City and lost 5-4. But
they lost. I mean, they lost the game, but
they scored. Yeah, they put quite a few past City, or 4-3, and they were like 4-0 down with 15 to go and bounced back. But it was something like that. But there you go. Last question then, gentlemen. The transfer window is open. I'm expecting lots of teams to do lots of business. Arsenal looks like Martinelli's going for around 56.5 million. This is true on these, by the way. Sorry, I got hiccups. We're expecting lots of outgoings. What are your thoughts on how Arsenal finish this transfer window? Who do we think comes in, if anybody, to end this window for Arsenal? And should Arsenal keep their powder dry if they don't think the right player's there?
Today I've had the whole Alvarez thing that's came out. I've been in war today with some people, man, about it, because I know a lot of people are sort of against the fact that his mind's in Barcelona, and these are all good points as well. Don't get twisted. Like, he wants Barca over Arsenal, and that's why people question, is his attitude, does he want to fight for Arsenal? Is his mind in Arsenal? Is he flirting with Barca, even if he's signed for Arsenal? But I really want Alvarez, man. I really rate this guy.
Does it bother you about the
preference?
About the preference? Because my view is it's no different to Vinny Jr.
Yeah, because the thing is, I said this, he's South American, man. Like, a lot of South American players, their preference is Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, and also he's already in Spain as well. So I think the family side of things is a big factor. Does he want to come back to England? I think someone said about a visa as well situation. It's all these little things that could be against him not coming back to England. But it doesn't. Sometimes I get with Premier League champions, and I get you want players who want to play for your club, and they want to play. But I look at it and I think even if he comes in, right, gives us 1-2 seasons, I think he leads us to a Premier League title. And I know the opposite can happen, which is why it's a risk to pay this amount. I think over 100 mil is overpriced for him. Of course, it is in this market, but you pay that. Yeah, he'd come in, he can lead us to a league title, and we can get that value back. We can ultimately go and sell him in 2 seasons when he's about 28, 29 years of age, if he still wants Barcelona then. Of course, the flip side could be he could come in and obviously not hit the ground running, and we have a bit of a mess because his mind's not in Arsenal. I completely hear that. But what I've seen of him, I think he ticks all the boxes, man. I understand Arteta is wanted this guy for quite a while now. And I understand why. Like, I think he really, as a complete player, and I get people can talk to me about he scored 8 La Liga goals at Atleti, and he had a bit of a goal drought, but he scored 10 in the Champions League, for example, that same season. And also, he's playing in a completely different role. He played more further. He played as like an attacking midfielder, really dropped deep because he's good at the link-up play. He's very technically gifted. He can play in these different roles where, he can link up the play with the striker, like he was doing with Sola, for example. And the example when he was at Man City, when they had an injury, I think to Foden or KDB, he filled in and he really worked well with an Erling Haaland type. And I think the reason why he left Man City was because, he wanted to be that main character. He wanted to be that main guy. You never do that when you got Haaland, in front of you. And also maybe is the England factor as well, of course. And he wanted to go
his family situation, the
family situation, things like this, right?
And just very quickly before I bring SJ in here, I mean, firstly, my view here is I actually think he's better off the left than at centre forward. But my 2 questions are: one, do you think we will get Alvarez? And secondly, where do you think he will play if he does come in?
I don't think
for either of you to answer, by the way. And then SJ,
I don't think we'll get him. I think we're to keep our powder dry. I think we could get to January with Kai and Jokeres, rotating. If Kai was injured, like he got injured against Man United last season, and then possibly go back into the market, which is what we did with Eze. When Kai got injured, Eze came the next day. I think the quality is there. I mean, the Champions League doesn't really heat up until after Christmas, February, March, so we could assess where we are then, possibly dip in the January transfer market. I know people say we don't buy in transfer market in January, but we do. We have done.
We have done before, but the last 2 windows, we haven't had the money to.
We haven't had the money. We haven't had the money. So
because we spent it in the summer.
Yeah, people just couldn't comprehend that we had no money left. That's why
I had that same argument again last night.
We done Hincapié on a loan and signed because we had no money.
When David Ornstein is saying you haven't got the money, you kind of got to take that one, right? Josh, do you think we get Alvarez? Assuming Barca a bid isn't accepted for Barca, obviously.
This is what I'm thinking. Like, where does it leave him as a player? Because you ain't going to Barcelona. Quite clearly, Atleti, and I make them right. If they're rivals, right? Barca, I think, offered 100 and what they want. Barca have the money, I think, to pay that. And because they were a really big fan of him, and he wants Barca. But Atleti just holding. We've got 7 days left of the window, right? I don't see him at Barcelona. So what he's going to say Atleti, where you guys saw the treatment, and I make Atleti fans right, because you can't come out in a World Cup and say I want to leave and fulfill my dream to the rivals in Barcelona. Atleti fans booing.
It's like Saliba coming out and saying I want to go Spurs.
Exactly, literally, right? So
Chelsea is probably a better example because
but even so, we'd have that same feeling that Atleti fans I'm having, I'm sure, because this is a guy who they took him in, gave him, I think, a very historic number.
Gave him what he wanted.
Yeah, what he wanted, and at the end of the day, like they're booing him. He had to come off the pitch the other day, and all the other teammates clapping the fans. He couldn't do that. So I see him on the bench, like he looks like he's being held hostage, looking at his facial expressions and things like this. So it's like, how can you go back to that for a whole another season, and maybe until January if Atleti eventually.
It doesn't feel tenable for me for him to stay, and I think that's where Arsenal get a chance, because we may be his only escape route. And I know that doesn't sound like a great sort of sales pitch from an Arsenal perspective, but he is a good player, and I think Mikel Arteta has a plan for him. SJ though, do you think nothing in this window?
I think our business is done. I think we'll get linked to a few players to keep us on the edge of our seat, and then all of a sudden it'll be 11 p.m. on whatever day it is, and there'll be no one coming in. Unless
do you think though with Martinelli going out, we need to do something in? Because we could be no Martinelli, no Jesus, but at least just one attacker light, particularly on that left-hand side.
Obviously, I think Eze coming on the left-hand side as a sub is maybe telling, because he doesn't usually come on the left-hand side as a sub. So I think.
I mean, it says Wanyeri can't go out on loan if we don't do business right. He's got.
Yeah, with Martinelli going, I think Eze is deputy out there for Solis now. And as I said, I think the games really pile up after Christmas. We've got 2 international breaks before Christmas, so we can get by with Eze and Solis on the left hand side. Again, I mean, if Barkley is available, I do like him. I think he's a different type of player on that left hand side, pace merchant. So if he is available for the right price, which I don't think he is, I think PSG are gonna,
hold out for.
Bump that price out of a bit more between ourselves and Liverpool. So there's no point in entering that. So yeah, I'd sit back and just go with what we have, unless we get a terrible injury one day. Touch wood, we don't in an area maybe up front, or like Joker or Havertz get injured. Just sit on what we have.
And finally, Josh, I mean, if it's not Alvarez, do you think it's going to be what SJ says, nothing in, or do you think someone comes in? And do you think we need someone if Martinelli goes out?
I would feel a bit on edge personally if we didn't replace Martinelli, because even if you put Eze, and he could work out on the Eze on the left wing, I would be open.
I'd be open to that too,
for sure. Because when he's at Palace, I don't think he was out and out actually like touchline left winger, but he'll come inside quite a bit.
He came inside off that left wing, didn't he?
Yeah, and look, we saw it on occasions. I think 3 times last season. The one that just sticks out to me, I know it's bad because it's only one game, but the Villa Park one, when Arteta punished him because he wouldn't do the thin tracking back, and that led to one of their goals, I'm pretty sure.
Matty Cash scored.
Matty Cash's goal, and then he was not seen in the team since for, I think, was it 5,
6-7 weeks? Yeah,
loads of weeks, man. It's like I think Arteta punished him for that.
Probably wasn't quite that long. He just felt it because the game's come so much in that period. But
yeah. So is he? But SJ is right. He did make that sort of statement, you could say, when he brought him off the bench to play him left wing against Coventry, and obviously Arteta is sending that message as well with Martinelli. Martinelli's not been in both the squads, has he? For the Community Shield.
Martinelli's basically gone.
Yeah, he's basically gone. But surely it's like we have to. I get the money's good. Personally, I think this is the best chance we're going to have to sell him Martinelli at this value.
Yeah.
Of I think, was it 60 million is going to be total fee. So I think that's the best that we can get for him.
56.6 with add-ons to come.
With a few add-ons in there as well.
Sell-on clause, I think it is.
But again, I still
Arsenal have a sell-on clause as well, by the way. So they're going to have to pay the Brazilian side something like 15% is being reported of the fee. So we'll get about 45-ish, I would have thought, just under.
But yeah, I mean, to answer, I feel a bit on edge personally, Dom, with Eze and Solis as a 2. I think we need someone in there.
I'm with you, and I think Alvarez can cover your centre forward and left wing position really nicely, if that's possible. So I think we are one short in a world where Jesus, who I want to go, by the way, and Martinelli go out. I think Wanyeri has to stay, but I do think for him the best decision is alone, and therefore one coming in. But equally, to SJ's point, I don't want to see someone coming in for the sake of it. It's got to be the right player that's right for Arsenal going forward. But anyway, on that bombshell, it's 10:20. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's coming to the show, and wishing a speedy recovery to Sparks. If you are watching and not subscribed to his channel, Footy Corner, please do so. But before I do, I also want to thank our panelists. Start with USJ. Again, thanks for coming on. Anything you've got coming up, or any last thoughts?
Probably got something coming up after Champions League draw, to be honest. Don't know if you don't want to do something after. Just review the Champions League draw on Thursday, 5 p.m. We've also got a draw tomorrow for League Cup. So,
League Cup, yeah. I mean, I'll be at work on Thursday, but League Cup's out tomorrow as well, isn't it?
Yeah, League Cup's tomorrow. Champions League draws 5 p.m. on Thursday. So, probably do some of that and a little preview for Aston Villa. But yeah, I mean, YouTube channels there and here. There and it wasn't the screen, it's gone. But yeah.
Let me see if I can put it up while you do that. Let me see if I can find the right button.
Yeah.
But tell us what your YouTube channel is while I try and find the button.
It's a Gooners View from Block 5, but it's Yeah, when you find the button, the link is on the. Yeah, I don't know what you call it. The tag is on the screen somewhere.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I
Josh,
just
what
don't.
button am I looking for on this thing? You know, StreamYard.
To what? Put a link in.
No, to
No,
put the
our
to put your
names.
names up.
I think it comes in
Get rid of the comment. Just ump in the comment,
those. Oh,
and
Oh,
then
there
the
we go.
names will come.
Oh, there we go.
there you go.
There we go.
I had no idea either. I had no idea.
Yeah, Sparks is helping me out
Yeah.
in the chat as well.
Just read the chat.
There we go.
Amazing, yeah.
Both rookies, me and you.
Yeah, there we go. Josh, the pro with 29k subs, who will hopefully help me and Spox out with a nice social media post after. But
Definitely.
but yeah, I mean, you'll have content coming up this week. I happen to know because I listened to it yesterday. But you're week ahead, sir.
Yeah, no. Firstly, thanks, thanks, guys. I think it's been, a brilliant show. Thanks to the chat as well, and yeah, I hope we can do more of these as well. But yeah, I do basically daily transfer news, everything to do with Arsenal. I cover both teams as like I do women's football as well, men and women's football. So yeah, busy schedule ahead now. Both the seasons are starting, but yeah, you can find me there. And yeah, don't worry, man. I'll happily share the stream around for sure. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure.
Much appreciated, but I was also messing, but it would be much appreciated. Right, thank you guys. We will end the show there. Thank you, as Josh and SJ said, to the chat and to these guys. Have been great guests to have on. As I say, speedy recovery to Sparks. A really good start to the Premier League for Arsenal. They will get to watch everyone this weekend because they don't play Villa until Monday. And before they do that, hopefully we'll see some transfer business in. We will know the Champions League draw, and we will know our third round, I think it is, Carabao Cup opponents. Big week ahead. You'll be able to catch it all at Footy Corner, at Arsenal Domination, and at these guys' channels. I think they will be pinned in the description. And wishing you all a good week and good night. We'll speak soon.
Take care.